Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your girl, Naia, and today we're diving into some serious tech talk that's about to blow your mind. We're reacting to a video that's all about the NVIDIA RTX 5090 cranking out a whopping 575 watts. Like, is that a graphics card or a small power plant? Seriously, I can't wait to see what wild specs the 5080, 5070 and 5070 are bringing to the table. Get ready for some laughs, some gasps, and maybe a few what the heck moments, because you know I'm here for all the drama. If you're as hyped as I am, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's jump right into this tech roller coaster.
NVIDIA today announced its RTX 50 series Blackwell GPUs, the Blackwell architecture now coming to consumer products, but it also had an additional important announcement.
Do you like my jacket?
That jacket is giving major vibes. I mean, who doesn't love a good statement piece? It's like he's saying, I'm here to drop some serious tech knowledge, but I also have style.
I thought I'd go the other way from Gary Shapiro. I'm in Las Vegas after all. If this doesn't work out, if all of you object, well, just get used to it. I really think you have to let this sink in. In another hour or so, you're going to feel good about it.
Well, at least we got that out of our system, so now we can continue on without a hitch to the news.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Okay, this is getting interesting. The CEO is holding up that massive chip like it's a trophy. You can just feel the excitement in the air. This is the kind of moment that makes tech fans lose their minds. What a flex.
I thought I was worthy.
It wouldn't be CES without that. So, NVIDIA today announced that its RTX Blackwell series will have, at least at the start, a 5090 priced at $2,000.
Whoa, $2 for a graphics card? That's a serious investment. I mean, it better come with a lifetime supply of pizza and energy drinks for that price. This is either going to revolutionize gaming or break a lot of wallets.
A 5080 priced at $1,000, a 5070 Ti at $750, and an RTX 5070 at $550. We don't have the full specs for these right now, so we'll have to reserve most of the judgment until we know what they actually are, especially because NVIDIA historically has kind of shuffled the stack a little bit where it's not always 100% clear generationally if the name might mean the same thing or not. So we'll look at that as we get into the reviews. But NVIDIA claims that its RTX 5070 notably has, quote, 4090 performance at $549.
If the 5070 is really delivering 4090 performance at that price, we might have a game changer on our hands. That's like finding a hidden gem in a sea of overpriced tech. If it lives up to the hype, it could be the go-to card for gamers on a budget.
Which is definitely description below. NVIDIA spent a lot of time talking about AI. The GPUs are the biggest thing we cover, the hardware, so we'll start there. And we'll also get into some of the pricing discussion a little more towards the end of this, because that's obviously something that everyone's thinking about. All right, so NVIDIA announced its...
Okay, now we're getting to the juicy part. The pricing and specs are laid out right here, and it's clear NVIDIA is making some bold moves. The 5090 at nearly $2. Zero is a serious commitment. But if it delivers on those AI tops, it might just be worth it for hardcore gamers. The 5070 at $549 is looking like a solid option for those who want performance without breaking the bank.
Blackwell GPUs that'll arrive to the consumer market in January.
January is just around the corner. That's prime time for gamers to start planning their upgrades. If these chips live up to the hype, we might see some serious competition in the market. The AI performance numbers are impressive. But let's see how they actually perform in real-world scenarios.
The GPU, presumably the full Blackwell die that was detailed, was noted as a 92 billion transistor solution as compared to the RTX 4090's approximate 76 billion transistors. Notably, the card CEO Jensen Huang showed off at the event appeared to be a two-slot.
A two-slot card? That's interesting. It's a good sign for cooling solutions, but it also means we need to check our case sizes. If it's packing that much power, it better have some serious airflow to keep it from overheating.
card, which he noted has 2 fans. This is a stark contrast to the huge prototype NVIDIA cooler that we just tore down. I have that right here. It's coming to the channel soon, and this is actually really relevant. I was kind of shocked at this because this was totally separate content piece we're working on. You'll see this very soon. It's actually kind of an amazing cooler, insane assembly. Anyway, this is a separate video. The point is, I think they took some learnings from this, even though it is massive, and applied it to what they were showing off on stage today. And we'll kind of come back to that board. So the 2-slot card that Jensen Huang showed off is a big swing from the 3-slot and 4-slot coolers.
This is a major shift. Going from those massive 3 and 4-slot coolers to a 2-slot design is a bold move. It shows NVIDIA is really thinking about space and compatibility in builds, if they can pack that kind of performance into a smaller form factor. It could change the game for a lot of gamers and builders out there.
Coolers we've become used to, which have been necessary for thermal and for power management. NVIDIA also posted some hard specs to its website. We can start with the power, which is listed as 575 watts total graphics power for the 5090. It's an interesting thing to leave out of the keynote. We have a whole separate video on total high power and how the whole spec has just been a complete dumpster fire.
A complete dumpster fire? That's some serious shade. It sounds like there's a lot to unpack here about power specs and how they've been handled. If there's a whole video dedicated to this mess, I'm definitely intrigued to see what the tea is.
It's a deep dive. You should check it out if you haven't seen it. It's an hour on a cable specification, and people really liked it. Interesting times we live in. But our concern here is we think that's just too close to the limits already for, I mean, it's a difference of the 4090s typically run at about 450 watts without some kind of overclock. And with an overclock at like 600, you get a hit 660. It really depends on how it's configured and how you count transients. But 575 concerns us.
I get that concern. Hitting 575 watts is pushing the envelope, especially if it's close to the limits of what the hardware can handle. It's all about balancing performance and stability. And if they're not careful, it could lead to some serious overheating issues. Definitely something to keep an eye on.
A bit. We'll keep an eye on it, obviously. We're wondering also if they maybe did some of this redesign of the cooler to try and direct some of that airflow over the cable specifically to help deal with that extra heat. So anyway, that was one of the more concerning points we saw. The RTX 5090 Blackwell GPU is listed as having 21,760 CUDA cores, memory at 32 gigabytes of GDDR7.
Whoa, 32 gigabytes of DSRVSVN? That's a serious amount of memory. This is going to be a powerhouse for gaming and content creation. If it can handle those high-res textures and demanding applications, it's going to be a game changer for anyone looking to push their setups to the limit.
Clocks at 2.41 gigahertz boost and 2.01 gigahertz base, a large 512-bit memory interface width, and NVIDIA has iterated its Tensor Core generation to 5 and its RT Core generation to 4 for Blackwell, though we don't yet have architectural details on the consumer side as to what specifically that means. We expect those details pretty soon. The FE card is listed as 304 millimeters by 137 millimeters for dimensions, and then that is the 2-slot card. Jumping over to the prior RTX 4090 for reference. The 4090 has 16,384 CUDA cores, so that's notably different from the 21,760 of the 50.
That's a massive jump in CADA cores, going from 16,384 in the 4090 to 21,760 in the 5090 is a significant upgrade. This could really enhance performance in rendering and complex calculations. If the 5090 can leverage all that power effectively, it's going to be a beast for both gaming and professional workloads.
5090, but cores can't be compared linearly, especially cross-generation, so the real-world impact will be more difficult to track and we'll just have to test it. The 4090 also ran 24 gigabytes of GDDR6X rather than the 32 gigabytes of GDDR7 on the 5090. The 4090's clocks are higher as advertised on NVIDIA's webpage at 2.52 gigahertz boost and 2.23 base. Of course, this changes based on the partner, but clocks like core count is not everything. Zooming out to look at memory capacity, we see the 5090 at 32 gigabytes, the 5080 at 16, the 5070 Ti at 16, and the 5070 at 12 gigabytes. For perspective, the 4070 is also 12 gigabytes, the 4070 Ti is 12 gigabytes, the 4070 Ti Super is 16 gigabytes, and the 4080 is 16 gigabytes. Going to a fuller look at the specs, the 5080 is listed at 10,752 CUDA cores.
The 5080 with 10,752 CUDA cores is looking solid. It's a nice step up from the previous generation, and if it can leverage that power effectively, it should handle most gaming and creative tasks with ease. This lineup is shaping up to be quite impressive.
Which is slightly more than the 4080's 9,728, and not the same huge change we see with the 4090 to the 5090. The 5070 Ti lists 8,960 against 7,680 on the 4070 Ti, and the 5070 lists 6,144, up from 5,888 on the 4070 configuration. Now again, these aren't directly comparable, they are cross-generation, but it helps us to understand what NVIDIA thinks in terms of its product positioning in the stack, and it helps us get an idea for, are they shifting it again and moving some things down and some things up. Interesting here to see too, the gap between the 4090 and 5090 being seemingly, at least on paper, one of the larger, if not the largest gaps out of this entire family so far, where we kind of saw that with the 4090 versus 4080, where the difference between them was abnormal compared to years prior, generations past, where you just wouldn't get gains that big from the flagship to the next step down. It was not always like that. That was kind of a pretty new thing with the 40 series. As for the rest, the full specs page shows a 2.62 gigahertz max boost on the 5080, 2.45 gigahertz on the 5070 Ti, 2.51 on the 5070, and then we already said the 5090 has a larger memory bus. As for the others, the 5080 and 5070 Ti both run a 256-bit bus, with the 5070 at 192 bits. Other than the 575 watts of the 5090, NVIDIA lists the other cards at 360 watts, 300 watts, and 250 watts for total board power. Broadly speaking, NVIDIA's power consumption appears to be increasing. On the very least, this is timed well with our efficiency testing, so it is possible for power consumption to go up, but efficiency to also improve. It depends on the output. That's part of the equation for efficiency, so we're definitely going to be continuing to run those tests. Next one. So we, of course, will have our own benchmarks to go through soon, and so will all the other reviewers. We'd always encourage you to check out a review from a third party, whether or not it's us, doesn't matter, but just someone who's a third party to get numbers you can trust. But it still helps to reference first-party claims to get an idea for where they are setting the expectations. So let's look at some of those. NVIDIA's webpage has a relative performance chart that's pretty hard to actually read, but we could try to get an idea. NVIDIA claims the 5090 outperforms the 4090.
This performance chart is a gold mine. If NVIDIA is claiming the 5090 outperforms the 4090, that's a huge deal. It'll be interesting to see how it stacks up in real-world tests, especially in those demanding titles. If it holds up, we might be looking at a new king of the hill in the GPU world.
4090 by over 2x in some situations, such as Cyberpunk and Black Myth, among others.
If the 5090 is really outperforming the 4090 by over 2x in games like Cyberpunk and Black Myth, that's a game changer. Those titles are known for pushing hardware to the limits, so if it can handle them that well, we're in for some serious gaming upgrades. This could redefine what we expect from high-end GPUs.
In these tests, they list DLSS plus full RT as the settings. The footnote, that's nearly the same color as the page background, says that the 40 series used frame generation in this testing, but the 50 series used MFG 4X mode. This makes the comparison not like for like. We consider this approach flawed, but we'll look at their other claims for full perspective. Switching to the 5080, NVIDIA shows its performance as outperforming the 4080 by, again, sometimes 2x.
If the 5080 is outperforming the 4080 by up to 2x, that's a significant leap. This could really shake up the mid-range market. Gamers looking for high performance without breaking the bank might find this card to be a sweet spot. It's exciting to see such advancements in the lineup.
This is tough to filter though, for user-friendly. NVIDIA stated that its Blackwell GPUs will have 2x the memory bandwidth of Ada.
That's a significant boost in memory bandwidth. If the GPUs are really hitting 1.8 TBs, that's going to make a huge difference in performance, especially in memory-intensive tasks. This could lead to smoother gameplay and faster rendering times, which is exactly what gamers and creators are looking for.
Data at 1.8 terabytes per second for the cited spec. This will likely change depending on which model you look at, but we need the full specs for everything. It claims 2x the RT teraflops.
If it's claiming 2x the RT teraflops, that's a major leap forward for ray tracing performance. This could mean much more realistic lighting and reflections in games, making the visuals even more stunning. If they can deliver on this, it'll be a game changer for anyone who loves immersive graphics.
And 1.5 quick slide. NVIDIA's keynote was lengthy, as it typically is. It covered a lot of topics outside of our direct area of focus. So it's industry and everything else that we don't really cover. For now, we're just focusing on getting these basics out to you for the video cards, and then we'll revisit all the other stuff as we get more depth from the company and architectural information and just the ability to test the products. As for release dates, NVIDIA cited January, and it's
January is just around the corner. That's exciting news for gamers eagerly waiting to upgrade. If these cards deliver on their promises, we could see a major shift in performance benchmarks right at the start of the year.
Keynote, but its website lists January 30th specifically for the 5090.
January 30th is the date to mark on the calendar. If the 5090 and 5080 are launching then, it's going to be a hot start to the year for tech enthusiasts. I can already feel the hype building up for those benchmarks and reviews.
90 and 5080, and it says 5070 Ti and 5070 cards will arrive in
February for the 5070 Ti and 5070. That's not too far off either. It's great to see NVIDIA spacing out the releases, giving gamers a chance to plan their upgrades. This could really shake up the market as everyone rushes to get their hands on the latest tech.
in February, and we'll see you all next time.
All right, fam, we've reached the end of this tech journey, and WOWZA, what a ride. From the jaw-dropping specs of the NVIDIA RTX 5090 practically taking us to power plant levels with its 575 watts to the wild flex of the CEO holding that chip like it's the holy grail of graphics. This video had me shook. Let's talk about those crazy prices though. Seriously, $2.00 for a graphics card. It better not only run Crisis at max settings, I'd also whip me up a pizza right out of the box. But hey, if the 5070 manages to deliver 4090 performance and is sitting pretty at $549, that could be the real hero for gamers who don't want to sell a kidney to level up. So, did my expectations from the intro get met? Heck yes, I was ready for some juicy specs and major hype, and this video brought the heat. And can we just acknowledge that 32 gigabytes of DS for this one? That's more memory than I have in my brain after all those spicy takes. At the end of the day, it seems like NVIDIA is really pushing the envelope here, and if they can pull this off without melting our PCs into a complete dumpster fire, we might just be in for some serious advancements in gaming tech. To wrap up with a joke, they say money can't buy happiness, but it sure can buy a graphics card that'll put the sparkle in your gaming life. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and slap a like on this video if you enjoyed the ride. Catch you in the next one. Tech enthusiasts, Naia out.